Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome in everybody to the Flagstick Podcast with myself, Jeff Potter.
Just fixing the hat.
Scott McLeod. I'm sick of fixing this hat. I love these hats. They fit so good, but they always seem like they're on an angle to one side, even though they're like the line is right in the middle. It feels weird. Like I just, God. And you do it all the time too. Although the hat you're wearing now seems to be pretty centered. I don't know if it's the way the logo is positioned on it. It's just not centered. Something's off. But anyway. I digress. That is not what we're not here to talk about the positioning of my hat. We are here to talk golf. That's what we do on the Flagstick Podcast. Sponsored this week by TaylorMade Golf, introducing the all-new QI35 drivers, TaylorMade speed, max forgiveness, a new level of fitting to give you more distance from more of the face. Get QI35 fit today and unlock another level of your game at TaylorMadeGolf.ca. I'm sure I don't need to keep reminding you, but I'm going to. Follow us across all social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook, and please subscribe to our Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We do encourage you, of course, to subscribe to the YouTube channel, which a lot of you have as of late, so thank you very much for that. Like us and click the notification bell. Make sure that you never miss a single episode of the podcast.
You got
or anything else we happen to put up there.
Definitely. Lots of shorts. Shorts are really popular. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes, I have noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, we post
time, eh? Like it's like we talk about we do the podcasts, audio and video.
Mm-hmm.
For those that want to sit down and watch us, great. We love to see your eyeballs. Or at least you can see our eyeballs. It's fun to do it live. There's some things we can do, or not live, but things that we can do in video that you can't see in the audio side of things. But most people we know download the podcast via audio, and
a lot of them break it up in pieces in a lot of cases. Yeah.
So when we do stuff on YouTube, the shorts, that's what you can watch quickly on your phone for a second when you get an alert that something new is up there. You go and it's like a little 30-second clip. It's like why we do those little, call them promo clips, if you will, but they're little clips that we do across all the social media channels there too, that are just little snippet thoughts, ideas that are 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 60 seconds. That's all we have time for in this world. We shouldn't. You should be able to sit down and listen to us for an hour straight and enjoy yourself. But that would be nice. The reality is, that's not the world we live in nowadays.
No, I know. I'm the same. I listen to podcasts and, unless I'm driving the car long distance where I get to hear an entire episode. In most cases, it's going to be, parts of an episode. And then, you listen to part of it again and so forth. So we understand that people do that because, that's the feedback we get from people as well. When we talk to them, they, they might listen to 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. But whatever the case, we appreciate it.
Slow your life down. Stop and listen to the podcast. We're going to talk this week on the show about Tommy Fleetwood.
Boy,
we do have to talk about it. There's plenty of regional and provincial golf competitions to go over, and given the fact that we're in this sort of heat wave right now, it's the happy medium, right? It's either too cold or too friggin' hot. It's never anything in between. Other.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk a little bit about some things that you might be able to do, some adaptations you need to make to tolerate golfing in the heat. Because you don't want to not golf, but you got to figure it out. Because if you don't prepare for it properly, a whole world of hurt's coming your way.
Yeah, you got to be safe. And we saw that at the women's PGA, even, Brittany Henderson caddying for Brooke, was undergoing some heat stroke early on the Thursday. And, it's
that'll be a good conversation in the back nine too.
Yeah, for sure.
KPMG. All right, let's get to it. Front nine presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. It's early in the golf season. The course is in great shape. Book and pay online. Save 10%. Popular game passes are, right in the middle of the promo. Their popular game passes are always available 10, 20, and 30 games. Check out the event series for fun tournaments. Lessons are always available with their pro Nick Search. Enjoy great food at Hickory's as well. Visit metcalfgolf.com. You don't get that every day. See, now if you're listening, you just hear me sneeze. If you're watching, you get to see me sneeze.
Wow, exciting stuff.
I mean, which would you rather do? Hear me sneeze or see me sneeze?
Neither.
I'm not quick enough to hit the sneeze bar there. All right.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
Big storms over the weekend.
Gonna be one of those podcasts.
Did you guys have that big weather Saturday night?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So yeah, it's it ripped through here, but I know it wasn't as bad down in Kingston as it was in the Ottawa area, and especially the upper
Ottawa area got hit. Yeah. Well, we heard the storms, the rain and stuff, but it really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, they're still investigating whether there's tornadoes or anything that were up there as far as anything touched down. And I certainly saw some posts. Renfrew Golf Club had some damage up there. Homestead was closed on Sunday as well. Yeah. A number of courses that are cleaning up. So, thinking about all of them up there as they go through that. I mean, again, it's nature. It's what you deal with, but it's just unfortunate, and hopefully, all that gets cleaned up, and
this might not stop.
And people can get back on the golf course as quickly as possible. Pollen. Yeah. There's lots of pollen around there.
I don't know. That just kind of came on suddenly in a big wave.
Yeah,
I can see right now. My son Brandon's probably in the other room laughing at me.
Probably can hear you.
He's been around as I go through these sneezing spells that don't seem to quit.
Well, this is fun to watch live. I mean, this is pure drama.
It's not fun. I'm about to leave the podcast to go blow my nose. What's gonna happen?
Well, you can go do that perfectly fine. I'll keep gabbing away. Doesn't really matter. Go grab a Kleenex if you want. So, yeah, I know. Crappy cup. I hear it. I see it. If you're not watching, if you're listening, you don't see Jeff's faded Tim Hortons cup that we talk about far too often.
Hey, look, we talk about it every once in a while, and I know that lots of people listen to the podcast and watch the podcast, and nobody has mailed me or sent me from Tim Hortons a new mug.
They're a Brazilian American company. What do they care about you?
It's Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is supposed to be the great Canadian coffee.
Sure.
So if you're such the great Canadian coffee, and I'm here promoting your coffee company right here on our podcast, and I have this ugly faded mug that is not doing your company justice, send me a new mug.
Somebody might be getting one in October for a birthday. Anyway.
Shouldn't be you. It should not be you. We're reaching out to the good viewer and listener of this podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Send me a mug. Or you know what? If it doesn't have to be a time. If a potential company that has mugs wants to send me a mug to drink on the air.
Oh, promote their business. Oh, I like it.
I'm happy with that too. Tim Hortons can be pushed aside. Anybody can be pushed aside. This is not. There's no loyalties here. There's no loyalties here. You got a mug. Do you want to promote your business on this podcast? Send me a mug. I'll drink from it.
Yeah. Said heat. Do you like it?
God. No.
Do you like it? Hate it?
I don't mind heat, but I just can't. Yesterday was bad. I was down in your neck of the woods there briefly yesterday, and outside for a good chunk of it, and it was just wow, it was
oppressive.
I can't.
I
don't know
that our Mississippi trips.
Oh my
That's
God.
What it felt like.
It felt like that, yeah.
That's what I mean.
It was just the humidity was just so unbearable. Like it was. I mean, how do you golf in that? Well, we're going to tell you about that in the back nine. I'll tell you how I do it.
Yeah, but some people like it and some people don't. I mean, I was talking
good for your body.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of people yesterday who said, hey, bring it on, I'll take it as hot as I need it. That they love it, whereas other people it's just like, no, it's like they have no interest. Are you gonna be okay?
You said I'll take it as hot as I can eat it.
No.
I just like what is it, a spicy enchilada here?
Pretty much. I like it personally. It doesn't bother me. I like when it's hot out. I obviously hydrate a lot or whatever. I did play early Saturday morning, and before it got too bad. But again, you go through a lot of water and stuff like that, and I certainly wouldn't want to be walking a super hilly golf course.
No, I mean, we'll talk about it, but I mean,
Sure.
there's ways of managing it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not someone that enjoys intense heat and
Yeah.
humidity, it doesn't really matter how you manage it. You're probably
Sure.
not going to enjoy yourself, so you just don't
Yeah.
play. That's how you manage it. But we'll get
Yeah.
into that. We'll
Yeah,
get into
for
that. But
sure.
that was just, yeah, that was.
Yeah, and it's going to continue. It's just only going to be worse here. So, anyways, we'll chat about it. But we had some golf. We had some
Yeah,
golf to
so
talk
two
about.
Canadian pros pro wins over the weekend, which is
Yeah.
always good to see from our fellow Canadians. Kelowna, BC's Megan Osland won the St. Louis Championship on the ANNIKA Women's All Pro Tour. It's her second win on the circuit, having also won an event in 2023. Myles Creighton of Nova Scotia also had a heck of a week there on the Korn Ferry Tour of Wichita.
Yeah.
He made the cut on the number with a hole-in-one on Friday. Okay,
Yeah.
think about that.
That's a good start to the week, as it is.
And then goes to shoots 59 on Saturday.
Yeah.
And one on Sunday for his first. Like, you can't script this stuff.
No.
Like,
and he had like, I didn't mention in there, he had actually two. I think he had two eagles on par fours during the week as well. So I don't know if they were hole outs, drove the green or whatever. But the fact that he made them, like, yeah, you're right. You can't script this.
Come on.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
I'm reading this and I'm going, what? He makes a hole in one on Friday to make the cut.
Yeah.
And then shoots 59 to backs it up with a 59.
Yeah.
And then wins the tournament. If he hadn't won the tournament, that would have sucked.
Well, yeah.
Would have still been nice to get the 59 in the hole in one, but it still would have sucked not to win the tournament after all of that.
No, for sure. And I thought he was going to go into a playoff, and then the guy who's his co-leader ended up making a bogey on 19. I was tracking this pretty well going across, just because it was it's significant during the week, so it was following all weekend long, and and to make the number, or the cut on the number, it was 68. And it's still, I mean, that's how good this tour is. So, I mean, he was 17 under to win the tournament, but yeah, 59 on Saturday. First Canadian to shoot 59 on the Korn Ferry Tour. Second win by a Canadian on the Korn Ferry Tour this year.
That's cool.
But very great cool to see. And it sets them up for status on the PGA Tour for next year, because obviously, you get that win, it pushes you quickly into that top echelon. And if you can be in that top 25 at the end of the season, you've got status on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
So
it gives you a big jump.
It does. So highly expect Myles Creighton, who, has won on PGA Tour Americas, now on Korn Ferry Tour, to definitely, move up for next year. So a lot of people excited about that, especially obviously people from, Nova Scotia, Digby, Nova Scotia. A lot of people know him from down that area. Special shout out to his dad, Grant, who follows religiously on our social media accounts as well. So happy to share that. And also, thank you to Megan as well, because, she doesn't get all the attention that she probably should. She's a great player. And, when we posted something on her, she immediately said shipped out a little thank you, and appreciated the fact that we actually had some coverage of it. So it was good to see.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So the Alexander of Tunis is starting, I guess, as we're recording today. And as this comes out, it probably will be over. But it starts today. 138 players in the field. The Alexander of Tunis, one of the Triple Crown events that is part of the Quebec Golf Association, generally operated or run a lot by OVGA officials, and down in this area, the Ottawa Valley Golf Association. Used to be a smaller rotation of courses, but the 76th edition of this is including one of the newer host courses in the rotation, and it's going to be at Camelot this year. And I've been like, so I get the inside information to a point on some things.
Sure.
And given that Brandon works at Camelot on the maintenance team, and he's been telling me, things that they've been doing leading up to Monday. Obviously, Camelot is preparing their golf course.
Oh yeah, it was
always in great shape for their members, but they've been preparing the golf course for this for a while. And Brandon's like, he says the golf course is just absolutely amazing right now.
Yeah,
for the
and
players,
that was obvious at the Spring Open a few weeks ago that they were really getting the course tuned up. The green speeds were already up there. Just every little detail was sort of taken care of, and you could tell they were giving it a little extra special attention. And you're right, this is only one of 5 golf courses that are in this rotation, so it's big. It would have been nice to see a little more participation, I guess, from OVGA players. It really depends on status and getting in. Of the 138, I think I counted 28 or 29 from Ottawa Valley. So, but obviously it's, it is, as you said, it's a Golf Quebec event and one of their majors. So, we did have an Ottawa area winner last year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So Laurier Perot, when it was at Rivermead, won his home course, won in a playoff. Of course, he's back to try to back that up, if you will, on a very challenging golf course. Like Camelot is no walk in the park for these guys when it.
Is that a dig at me trying to walk it?
Hey, you pull from my comments what you will, Mr. McLeod. You pull from my comments what you will. But Camelot's is just an amazing golf course, and and they'll have it playing, competitive for them. There's no question about it. I'm going to try to make my way out there tomorrow. I got a quick text from Chris Chapman, who's the head superintendent out there, about if I was coming out, and I did text him, say yes, I'm hoping to try to get out there tomorrow. So
and if you want some more detail,
it will not be today.
No, and it's
I don't have a phone today.
Tomorrow's going to be hotter. I know that's a whole other story. If people want more details on this or whatever, we do have a preview up on flagstick.com. So it lists as well some of the other events that Camelot has hosted since 2001. They've hosted a lot of other big events, and there's been some great players, ranging from, Mackenzie Hughes to Monami LeBlanc to Gino Thitical, these are world-class players that, people know now from the LPGA and PGA Tour. They have won championships at Camelot. So some people are just not aware of that because they don't know the history. But we have that history up on the flagstick.com.
There you go. Well,
speaking of Rivermead.
Speaking of Rivermead, flagstick.com PGA Tour, PGA of Ottawa Tour Summer Open is taking place at Rivermead. Yikes.
I'm here, not there.
See that. This also taking place on the Monday today, as we're recording. An extremely warm day. Lots of carts, I think, will be in play today.
I thought there was a nice little inside joke. Carol Ann Baxter said that obviously shorts are allowed or whatever, and she said even Harry Hereford, her former executive director who passed years ago, would have allowed shorts today. He was a real proponent for pants. At the time, you had to be 40 degrees plus before you could wear shorts. So it's definitely going to be a short stay for many players.
So so Rivermead is recently had some course renos. They're playing co-host to the Canadian Men's Amateur with Royal Ottawa late next month. So they've undergone some renos that the pros that on the PGA of Ottawa, flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Tour are going to get a chance to experience firsthand ahead of time. Craig Stefuric is will not
he's
continue his streak after winning the Spring Open and the Dynamic Championship. He's at regional qualifying in Scotland for the Open Championship.
That's all right.
That's it. You know what, Stefan, Craig, we accept that.
I think the other pros are probably happy right now.
You just allowed the door. You swung the door open, and anyway, I mean, it's going to be a good championship regardless. There's obviously some great players in this region, and Rivermead's going to provide a pretty big test for them. So we'll get
the Pro is coming up. It's next week. I am in the field for that one. So
with your partner.
Yeah, we'll see how we do.
I'm just curious. Like, you guys have partnered for how many years now in this?
I don't know, 6, 7.
Yeah, how many times have you won?
0.
Okay, so maybe it's time.
Oh no. We had good finishes.
Maybe you should partner with Craig.
Yeah. I don't turn my back on my partner.
Come on,
we were leading last year after the first portion and just
the first
failed.
hole. You were leading after the first hole.
We were leading after the first 9 after the one Scramble? Portion of it. No, it was the better ball portion. We were actually leading by 3 at that.
And then alternate shot came.
And then alternate, which we usually compete at, like we usually do well, and for some reason we did not. So you go from 7 under on the first 9 to 4 over on the second 9, but always a fun event. It's back to 18 holes this year because it's at Eagle Creek. We had 27 last year at the Meadows, so it's 6, 6, and 6. But yeah, looking forward to that. And quick mention as well, Craig is actually joined by. There's 6 other Canadians as well. There's 7 Canadians in that regional qualifying in Scotland at the Open. So, and Craig is actually qualifying at Craigielaw.
Nice.
Yeah. So
interesting.
A golf course that Jeff and I have. We've stayed at the facility before. We didn't play it though. That time.
No, we did not.
I ended up playing it the next time when I went back like 4 years later. But
yes, you did.
Yeah. Our a good friend Derek Scott is the general manager at Craigielaw in Scotland, East Lothian.
That should be a good qualifying course.
It should be. It's the wind is up today. I looked at the early scores.
Well, the wind is up in Scotland.
Yeah, the early.
You told me the wind was down in Scotland.
Yeah,
I'd be more surprised by the wind is up.
I looked at some early scores, and man, even par was going to be really, really good score at any of the 15 sites. So, anyways, something to watch here and report on later on. So,
exactly, and we will report on it.
We will.
The Ontario Men's and Women's Amateur and the Women's Mid Amateur taking place this week. The women are in Niagara area at Peninsula Lakes.
Mm-hmm.
Men are at Deerhurst.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, that's actually and that's a interesting go for them because they recently had a clubhouse fire, so they've got to take care of things elsewhere as far as the as far as the role of the clubhouse. They have to take care of everything using the resort and the hotel there, but should be a good golf course, 7,000 plus yards, and they start play on Tuesday. Our good friend Shane Stanley got in the field, by the way, a friend of your son. He got in. He was first alternate. I was texting with him last week, and I said, first alternate, you got a chance. He's like, oh, I don't know. And then it was nice to get a text saying that he got in the field. So good luck to him.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's go, Shaner.
Yep, exactly.
I may see. I went and okay. The PGA Tour Americas is back on Canadian soil, starting their North American swing, if you call it, their North American schedule, and they kick it off with the mid-season Q School at the Mill River Resort in Prince Edward Island. So, hopefuls will be of landing a spot on the PGA Tour Americas for the remainder of this season.
Just nice to see Mill River. Nice to see PEI back on the schedule. They had that PEI open, and then that sort of disappeared for a couple of years. So I know they're excited about it. Sean Joyce, who's the director of golf operations down there, formerly worked at the Marshes in Ottawa. I'm pretty excited, and obviously our good friend Sam McPhail is pretty excited about that too.
I would imagine he is.
Yeah.
Okay. The last thing we're going to talk about, I think, before we head out to the break is what I'm sure that many of us witnessed yesterday.
Oh, man.
I mean, okay, so Tommy Fleetwood, Travelers Championship, starts the day with a 3-shot lead. Been playing was playing lights out for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like outstanding golf. When Scheffler faltered a little bit there on Saturday, Fleetwood grabbed the bull by the horns, so to speak, and wrestled his way to the top. 3-shot lead going into Sunday, and then for whatever reason, this guy just cannot close the deal on American soil, North American soil. Like, it's just he can't. He what do you say? Have 42 top 10s?
Yeah, something like that. As far as it's
PGA Tour 42 top 10 finishes.
Yeah,
many successful events on the DP World Tour.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of wins over there, 7 on the DP World Tour,
but he just can't seem to close it over here. And this was a choke. Like, I mean, Like I don't like to use the word very often when players
Same.
don't do well on Sunday and other players play well and pressure them from behind and they kind of just go, they don't do anything spectacular, but they don't do anything crazy either, and they get caught and then the pressure and then maybe
That's
they don't win.
Story.
That's a different kind of loss. This was a flat out choke. You had a 3-shot lead and you come out of the gate flat, bogeyed 3 holes. Boom, boom, boom. Then you got it back.
Yep.
And then you squandered it away again. And then you did like 18. It just the definition of watching someone collapse is standing in the middle of the fairway on the 18th hole.
Yeah. Having
the first shot of the guy that's chasing you down, being able to hit before him. And being able to stick that ball in the middle of the green with a guaranteed 2-putt. Simple. Seems simple.
Yeah.
And you're indecisive. You're completely indecisive.
Especially when it's a choice between a wedge and a 9-iron. And obviously he went for the wedge and ended up a little bit short and was kind of in between. But, watching it was like watching a slow car wreck in the last few holes. And I'll credit to Tommy afterwards. I mean, he spoke about it and said, he's got to look at this. Yes, he said I could go and I want to go and sulk for a while or whatever, but he spoke to all the media, discussed it, said, hey, I've got to take what I can from this and try not to do it and put myself in the position again as soon as I can. But this is a guy who's won $29 million on the PGA Tour, as you mentioned, 42 career top 10s. We watched him at the Canadian Open obviously lose that playoff to Nick Taylor. I think the issue, or not the issue, but I think the thing this resonates with so many people is that just they like Tommy. Everybody likes Tommy. So, he
wanted him to win, like 100%.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a sympathetic character. So, I had texts from a number of people that were just saying, hey, I'm really rooting for Tommy this afternoon. And, that was sort of the thing. Everybody would kind of want to see it. And then, to have to watch it live and, painfully watch his game just sort of disintegrate, kind of from 16 on when he, blew it over the green on 16. And I think you're right. It's the indecisiveness when, it's like you're questioning club choices and you're not doing the same processes. That's sort of what happens. And it's not that he doesn't have that skill. It's just maybe he just wants it too bad.
Yeah, anything's possible. I mean, it's hard. It really is hard to comprehend, when you watch what happened specifically. I mean, and thing is, it wasn't just about the 18th. I mean, the 18th was sort of the 18th was the highlight of it all, because that's where, you're standing in the middle of the fairway. I mean, you're not the previous hole in 17 where you hit it into the bunker. He hit a beautiful shot out of the bunker.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where you expect him to sort of choke and maybe jump in the water or something like that.
And I thought he hit that shot and I'm like, okay, if he drops this in the fairway on 18, he's got this.
Sure.
And if he puts that ball, if he hits that shot maybe closer to the pin or close, in a good position, then maybe Keegan Bradley is a little, a little, crossed up on his decision making a little bit and doesn't hit quite as good a shot. But as soon as the Fleetwood missed it as bad as he did, then all of a sudden Keegan Bradley is just going,
licking his chops.
Plus he knows what Fleetwood hit.
Yeah, and he's won there previously. Obviously, the fans were cheering for him.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with Bradley winning it too.
Oh, that's fine.
I like Keegan Bradley too. I think he was snowed in the last Ryder Cup selections there by Zach Johnson.
And now it's going to get very interesting because he moved up. He's number 7 in the world. He's 9th in the Ryder Cup standings. So decisions are definitely to be made as far as his playing ability. But yeah, I think if Fleetwood, I think that the mistake that players make is that all of a sudden once that separation is gone, so that happened on 16 where he made the bogey. Once that lead goes from 2 strokes to 1, then now all bets are off after that. You've got to keep that separation there so that the fact that if the other player does something good, then it doesn't matter as much. Whereas all of a sudden, Fleetwood kind of opens the door and Keegan just kind of walks through it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think he's going to do it. I mean, although I saw predictions of people right away, he'll be the 54-hole leader at Royal Portrush. I would like something great to happen for Tommy, but even then, if he wins at Royal Portrush, it's on the tour, it's a major or whatever.
Yeah, it's
not quite the same. It'd still be great, for him to win a major.
I'm sure he'd look at winning a major as a better accomplishment than winning on the PGA Tour.
Yeah,
for sure.
I
mean, if you're looking at getting over the hump of what is ailing him right now is not winning on the PGA Tour on American soil.
Yeah.
So that's what's standing in the way. If he wins on the DP World Tour or wins on the Open Championship, he's still winning overseas. But it's a major, so I think you get over it quick.
Yeah, and you just don't want him to be this tragic character that just has a lot of top 10 finishes and doesn't get a lot of wins. I mean, you become another Colin Montgomery, who was a number one player in the world or number one player in Europe for many, many years, but again struggled over in North America. And
how many people cried about that though?
Well, no, not as much. I mean, Tommy, again, he's a popular figure. So, it's just that much more important. And, it's just that harder to watch. And I think, when he does win, the people will be very, very excited. And I think that was the anticipation yesterday, was just everybody was, but I guess it's, it's a lesson though, too, to the average golfer or the player that's struggling and playing tournament golf that, it happens to the best of the players, but it's how you deal with it. And obviously, as he spoke afterwards, he was not, he wasn't mad. He wasn't breaking stuff. He was mad, as he said. He was disappointed. He was pissed. But, he also said, he was really eager to get back into that position again so that he could have that experience and to go through it. And that's how you learn. That's how you realize is like, here's what I do. And
he had a bad day. He had a bad finish.
Yeah.
He gave away a tournament.
Yeah.
And he went and stood in front of the microphone, in front of the media, in front of the fans like a champion and said his piece and handled it like a professional, unlike some other players.
Yeah, 100%. Agreed.
So, good on him. Like Tommy Fleetwood, he will win.
Well, just here's the thing. How positive is that? And how many people were then here's the thing, as you said, if he had not done that, I mean, people love Tommy Fleetwood. They love him even more the fact that he stood up as a professional and handled it the way he did. And, that doesn't diminish even the fact he lost. It doesn't really diminish what people think of him.
No. In fact, it makes them think even higher of him probably now than they did because he owned what went wrong. He stood up and talked about it, and people are going to increase his stature to them. Because of it. So
exactly. You gotta own your mistakes. You got to realize they're not anomalies. So if you've got deficiencies, then you got to deal with it. So
exactly. Anyways. All right, we're gonna pop out.
Sure.
Take a break. I'm gonna blow my nose, and although I'm good now. When we come back, we're going to talk about the KPMG because there's some stuff to talk about there, and depending on how that goes, we will get to the. We'll heat it up a little bit with some discussion about golfing in the unbearable, warm, humid temperatures. So stay with us. You're listening and watching the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
Unlock more forgiveness. Unlock more accuracy. Unlock more distance from more of the face. Introducing the new QI35 from TaylorMade.
All right, welcome back, everybody, into this hopefully back nine with a sneezeless overtone, if you will, or undertone. Back nine presented by Falcon Ridge Golf Club. With 27 holes of challenging golf at great rates, Falcon Ridge Golf Club is a golfing experience you can't avoid. Don't forget now, Falcon Ridge has built the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario. TrackMan range is about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide the ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. That's practice, games, and virtual golf all in one. To book tee times or to book one of the 10 TrackMan range bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca.
You had to go outside instead of inside there. I saw it with the 4.
Yeah. It was a quick switch in.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So let's obviously we want to talk about the heat thing, but if we don't get to most of it, we don't get to most of it.
That's fine.
We got to talk about the KPMG, because it's kind of like, how do we even put it? It's a major championship on the LPGA. So we have to kind of, I think, define, or what is a major championship, and with respect to these tours. When we watch the US Open, and we watch the way that the course is set up, and we talk about, identifying the best players in the world, separating the cream from the cream of the crop. JJ Spawn outlasts the entire field, handles this wet conditions, handles the dry condition, handles the long rough, the speedy greens, the difficult conditions to win the US Open and crown a major champion. Okay, so what is there a difference when we look at what happened at the KPMG, and we listen to some of the comments that some of the players have made about, the way that the course was set up? They didn't like it. They felt it was set up to embarrass them. They felt, so where do we draw the line here when it comes to major championships? Do we set them up different for women than we do for men? Are we still trying to use a major championship to showcase the skill of the women? And in which case, what's the difference between a major championship and a regular LPGA Tour event if you're not going to set the golf courses up more challenging to force them to shoot over par? I don't know.
Yeah, I know where you're saying here as far as the line. I don't think the players were. I don't think, from what I saw, and it was commentators as well. Mel Reid was vocal about it, but I don't think, obviously Minjee Lee gets a win, gets her third major, fantastic, played the course super well, handled it, didn't feel that it was totally crazy. But I think the issue is that when we start to look at the setups, just like when we're setting up events, even though we're doing it from an amateur level or whatever, a lot of things have to be taken into account. And if there is adjustments not made, especially giving heat, wind, so forth, that becomes a difficulty. So, when all of a sudden, you've got wind conditions in such a way that, balls will roll away from the holes because of the wind in a lot of cases, it's like, okay, what are we doing here? You have to take into everything as far as from an account standpoint when you're setting it up. What could happen? What are the possibilities that could happen? And I don't think a lot of them are not saying that the golf course can't be tough and that you've got to, the scoring's going to be higher and so forth. But when all of a sudden the rounds were like the one round, I was monitoring Brooke Henderson, the one round, there were 315 on the front nine, and it really didn't have a lot to do with the players and the pace they were playing at. It had to deal with what they were dealing with for golf balls rolling off into weird spots. It was super firm where you couldn't stop it. There was like you're hitting shots, and there's a difference between having challenging shots and shots where it's like, okay, that sort of defies physics as far as friction and so forth. And then that it becomes not a test of skill. So I think you have to push it as hard as you can to test skill, but you can also push it too far that it's not it goes beyond the skill. So for an example, Mel Reid was discussing the length of this golf course relative to the players. Looked at the average driving distance for LPGA Tour players versus PGA Tour players. Well, they were playing this golf course at a length that was only a couple hundred yards less than the men were playing the Travelers this week. I get it from a major perspective, but if you can't stop a golf ball on the green because it's coming in at a particular trajectory, you have to take into account players, right? I mean, if their apex is that they're hitting the ball a certain height, the ball is not going to stop because of the landing angle. Well, then you have to decide how you're going to set that golf course up so players can get to it. Yes, they have to hit different shots and so forth, but when all of a sudden the challenge becomes excessive, then I don't know if it starts to be great, especially this golf course. Like Oakmont's a little bit different. It's a very severe golf course or whatever. This is a modern golf course with some crazy green locations. So, there is definitely some silliness that went beyond just testing it for difficulty, or at least that's my opinion. And I mean, I don't often agree with Brandel Chambly, but when he was discussing about the par fives and the fact that, and we've had this discussion before, where all of a sudden a lot of the par fives were not reachable, and they basically became, they may as well just went and dropped all the players at 100 yards. The first two shots didn't really matter. So where's the skill as far as that? It's just basically going, okay, we'll just make it super, super long. So, it's that sort of thing. It's like that just doesn't make sense, right?
Okay. I'm kind of torn on this one. I really am.
I know where you want to take it, right?
Well, it's not. I don't want to take it there. I also don't think that that a U.S. Open for the men should be set up in such a way that it's an impossible task. But what's impossible for 75% of the field may have been possible for 25% of the field. I guess that's I as far as a par five being too long, well, what's the par five reaching a par five and two? Is it are we trying to set it up so that the entire field has the opportunity to reach a par five and two, or are we trying to set it up so that the length of the par five is of a benefit to those that can hit the ball longer off the tee and capitalize on the length of those? Like, if somebody can hit the ball, if a female golfer, if an LPGA Tour player can hit it 280 off the tee, and the second shot into that green is from 220 or 230, then they should be the ones rewarded for hitting it 280. The ones that hit it 240 off the tee shouldn't be rewarded by the par five playing 440. Yeah. I mean, that to me, that's a joke. I mean,
it's when it becomes excessive, even for the player that hits a 280. That's. I mean, so
I didn't see all the lengths of all the holes, so I can't really comment on that side of it. I didn't watch as much of the KPMG as I did. I was probably focusing a little bit more on the Travelers this week, and even the Firestone event a little bit, but then I wasn't around all. I was around.
No, that's fair. I think here's the thing: when we're listening to the players, and the players are having a discussion, because again, they're the best judges overall. There's obviously going to be a certain number of players that maybe don't play well that complain, but this was a case of good players. This was players that were playing well, saying things were excessive and that they could hit good quality shots and nothing good could come of it. Like, they didn't even have any opportunity for, even if they hit their best shot, it wouldn't do something as well. So it wasn't a case of changing kind of their style of play. It was a case of, okay, and here's one of the criticisms, for the PGA of America. Obviously, the PGA of America puts it there because they own this facility and they have this facility there. How versatile is this facility really, and how suitable is it to having a major championship, as opposed to, okay, this is a resort golf course that we're just going to, blast up a bunch of length and we own it so that we're going to run it on here, so we're going to make more money.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is too, I mean, we have to respect the fact that and I like watching women's golf. Like, trust me, this isn't like this isn't the same as, watching women's basketball or women's hockey or women's soccer. This is a little bit different. I like watching women's golf. I think that these women are fantastic players. The reality is, though, that women and men, when it comes to golf, they don't play the same game. It's different. The women don't play a power. Like, I'm not saying that women. I don't want to get into trouble here. I'm not saying women aren't strong.
No,
but they're not as strong as men. When a man hits a golf ball, there's a certain speed that the ball. There's more spin on it. Yeah. So when they're trying to stop a ball in a spot on a green that's a difficult spot, they have the ability to do that. Whereas the majority of the women playing on the LPGA Tour don't have the strength of the club head speed or the ball speed to create the same kind of reaction to the ball on the green using exactly the same ball.
Right. So here's the thing. Let's take the head off it, whether it's male, female, doesn't matter.
It makes it even harder to hit if you do that.
But let's look at the skill level of the player, whether it's a junior or whatever. Whatever the player's ability or the majority of the players in the field, the course setup has to be set for those players. So, it's no different when, again, I'll refer back to us setting up a golf course for one of our amateur events. We set it up relative to the field so that and to get the outcome that you're sort of after and so forth. So, this is just general skill across. It doesn't have to do with gender. It just has to do with averages of what happens. So if you look at lens players hit it, spin rates, as you mentioned, landing angles, so forth, you're trying to create a layout that's suitable for that. Is this golf course convertible enough that you can set up a golf course to do that? That is sort of some of the questions. And if that's the case as well, how does that play into the course setup? I mean, here's the thing. I don't know what they do in regards to player committees and so forth. And are the players involved in some way? Is just this the PGA just going, hey, this is the setup and here's what you get? It's not that these people are obviously not experienced in doing course setups, but from a consultation standpoint, it's always good if you have a little bit more insight. And PGA is no different. I mean, I've seen course setups really bad. I can remember going out to a golf course in our region with a provincial association a few years ago for a junior girls tournament. And again, it didn't matter if it's girls, boys, but it's the level of the player that's there. And whole locations and so forth were so challenging and difficult for the skill level of the player that only one player shot under par. And again, there's no guarantee that you're going to shoot under par. That's not the case. But if you get to the point where a player cannot get a score that's within a reasonable range of their normal skill level, then that obviously means the setup, you're setting up sort of a barrier with the golf course more than anything. And that goes beyond just being tough. That goes beyond to the point of it's like, okay, is this really what you want to see? And I mean, in the end, I don't think the PGA wants to hear this criticism. So I think they're going to have to look at it as well, because, they wouldn't hear the criticism. If it's a couple of players that complain because they had a bad day, that's one thing. But if you're hearing a number of players, a lot of players come back and say, you know what? Now, I guess, that makes it difficult. I guess the other side of it is 100 degrees and they're out there for 6+ hours. Again, what are we considering here before when we do the setup? So, it becomes, like you said, Minjee Lee played the best player wins. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but even the length of time that it is 6 hour rounds of golf. I mean, I have a hard time believing that the condition of the golf course and the setup of the golf course was the biggest factor in why it took 6 hours to play. Because I've seen groups of 4 guys go out and shoot 120, banging the ball into the woods and banging the ball here and banging the ball there, and not take 6 hours to play a round of golf. So I mean, just because I think that the 6 hours has more to do with the players, taking more time to analyze every shot because maybe they are afraid of hitting it. And I think that 6 hour rounds is, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't buy that a 6 hour round of golf is on the course setup.
It's part of it.
It wasn't 6 hours at the U.S. Open, and that course was set up brutal. And they were like looking for golf balls and grinding out every shot. So I can't see how the course conditions and setup were any worse for the LPGA in Frisco than they were at the U.S. Open.
They were 5+, reaching 5.5 hours at Oakmont. And if you'd all of a sudden had Oakmont baked out, I'm going to guess the rounds went to 6, and that's and here's the issue.
Maybe, but PGA Tour and LPGA Tour rounds are regularly over 5 hours as it is, and that's a little crazy.
I get that, but the thing is this is more about you're leading into this tournament. You know what you have to do as far as preparation. You know kind of what the weather is going to be like. So this is not even just about the players. This is a case of, okay, you know what the setup is going to be as far as the weather conditions and so forth. What are the adjustments that you're making based on the fact that golf balls are not holding on greens and there was an excessive amount of wind, there was an excessive amount of heat, there was all sorts of different things. And it just sort of seemed like the setup was done, obviously weeks in advance, they know what it was. And it just didn't seem like there was enough adjustments that were made once tournament week came. And as well as I mean, we'll change up setup make holes shorter based on the changes in the wind, particular ones. If it's downwind, you're obviously, change it out. It just didn't feel for this event like those adjustments were made. It was sort of made of like, okay, in a perfect scenario, this is what we'd like the golf course to play like. But then they don't get the conditions that they were, and then they don't adjust. And then as a result of it, you start to get excessive green speeds. I mean, you look at greens. I mean, Oakmont, obviously, 15 big greens and so forth. But if you saw the undulations or the wild undulations that are in these greens, I mean, they're more suitable that you would play them at a green speed that would be like, 8 or 9. When all of a sudden they're 12, it's like, well, the ball doesn't hold. Once you get past a certain amount, there's no friction. So all of a sudden, shots are going up and back, and it becomes mini putt. So that's when it becomes a little bit silly. Again, it's just sort of beyond the skill. I'm not saying it doesn't have to be a difficult golf course for this challenge.
No, but and that's the thing. It has to be.
Of course,
it has to be tougher. Like somehow, whatever setup they come up with, it has to be tougher than a week-to-week event. Otherwise, it's not a major. I mean, what makes it a major? Because you say it's a major, it has to be harder. Yeah. So if they didn't make the adjustments that they need to make, well, I guess then that's on the PGA of America for not making the adjustments that need to be made. But at the same time, I don't like hearing comments about, the golf course layout was boring and repetitive. And I mean, I've seen the golf course. I've seen the layout of the golf course myself, like as far as the layout of the holes and flybys and things. This is a beautiful golf course, and it didn't seem overly repetitive to me. It seems some of the comments seem a little bit sour grapes to me. But again, I'm not on the LPGA and I'm not on the PGA, and I've been doing this forever. I'm a decent golfer. I don't suck at the game, but I don't know what they know because I'm not there doing it. It doesn't matter how good I am. I'm not there doing it. So I can't comment on what they experienced. Yeah. I know for me that I need to see a vast difference, a drastic difference between playing for a major championship on any tour and playing a regular week-to-week event. Like I watched the Travelers this week. And I thought that was a difficult golf course. But they're 16, 17, 15 under par. I see them hit it in the rough, and then I see them hit it out of the rough, with ease. So I'm thinking, okay, it's a signature event, or it's a big event. But it's just now it's just another PGA Tour event, and these guys can shoot 61s and 62s, and then you put them back on a U.S. Open course, and they shoot 70.
I think the difference a little bit too, though, is when you look at things like Travelers, look at TPC Cromwell, you're playing in northeastern U.S. in June. You're just starting to get to the peak of summer. Yeah, they have had considerable heat for a while here in Texas. The PGA forces this to be at their venue, because from a financial standpoint, they want to have things that are there, and then you're in Texas at the end of June, where the weather is going to be brutal.
So they should probably think about when they're hosting this. If they're gonna have it in Texas, then it shouldn't be. And I guess this comes down to how the majors are all lined up at the same time year after year after year. Maybe they need to rethink that strategy when it comes to depending on how much they're moving the tournament around, right? Yeah. So
I think the schedule choice is fine. It's just a case of you're forcing it into this venue. Yeah. Because of ownership, right? And that's where it becomes an issue. And the thing is that if this is going to be your high profile $12 million event, PGA with the big sponsor KPMG, one of your biggest prizes,
then you better be better.
You better be better, and that's really what it comes down to. So I felt bad a little bit for some of the players. Good on Minjee Lee for winning the championship or whatever. But, again, this really comes down to, setup for all these events, because, you want to make it fun for the fans too. If the fans are just watching, the best players in the world chip, 5 feet from the hole and then watching it come back to their feet 3 times, is that really that much fun to watch? Yes. I mean, for some people it is. You love that, but not everybody.
I love it happening once.
once is fine.
I don't know if I'm all in favor of it happening multiple times on the same shot. I think that becomes. It's funny because I think that becomes the thing of, does a golf course allow for enough pin positions to be able to, like, enough reasonable pin positions? I was commenting the other day. I was over playing at Metcalf, which I do often.
Sure.
Got another 9 in.
Woo.
Got a couple 9s in now.
You're a beast.
But there's a couple of holes on the 9-hole course. The 9-hole course is the older course. It's the original, the OG, if you will. Love playing the 9-hole course a lot. Yeah. But the 9-hole course greens are severe. If the green speeds are up, which they are right now, which is a little uncharacteristic of Metcalf to have the green speeds up like this right now. When the green speeds are slower, the greens aren't quite as severe. But right now, the green speeds are running pretty fast.
Yeah,
we're not talking 14 here, but they're fast. But the greens have a lot of slope in them. So if you're on the sides of, like, putting sort of east-west on the greens as opposed to north-south, you're putting across, and your breaks, if you miss it high or low, like it basically will run away for, like, down the hill. Like, so there's spots on the greens where they put a pin, and it's like you can't put a pin there. Like, you literally cannot. But then if you look at the green, you're like, well, then I got one spot I can put a pin maybe up here and one over there, but there's no other pin positions on a green that's a big, like, there's no other spot to put a pin where it's not on a hill. Sure. And I think that's what we're talking about here, is they're putting pins in positions on the greens where they're on slopes. Like, remember we went out and did Brockville, okay? Yes. When we did the 2-ball a bunch of years ago, you and I went out to mark pin positions, and we went out with a level, and we went and said, okay, let's put a pin. How about a pin here? And we look and we put the level down and go, no, that degree is too severe. Yeah. And so that's what we did. Yeah. Clearly, they didn't do that, or they didn't have the positions on the green to be able to find 4 flattish spots. Because realistically, when you're setting pins, the pins should not be on hills.
Yeah. So
of a degree of anything more than maybe what we say. What are we talking about?
So LPGA standard is like they try for a 3% when they're looking at doing their setup, but you also have to have a wide enough area within that.
Yes, around it. And we did that. Exactly. We paced things off when we were like, okay, we can't put it here. And I'm like, yeah, we can. And you're like, no, we can't. I'm like, yeah, we can.
Because the thing is that, if you don't have, let's call it 10 feet. 5 feet around, so 10 feet, a flat enough area, you're just going to be repelling the golf ball all the time.
Yes, constantly.
And that, again, that leads to slow play issues. There's a reason why, your average golf course will bring it up to a certain range and doesn't want to get excessive. Because if it gets excessive, you're just going to have people standing back in the fairway, waiting for somebody to
watching someone bat it back and forth, back and forth, because they hit it a foot past the hole and it runs 20 feet away. Then they hit it up, but they don't get it to within 3 feet of the hole, and it comes back down.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And again, maybe they,
that just comes down to suitability. It's like, okay, maybe you want to play on this golf course, but how do you have to set it up to be able to play it properly, that it can identify a major champion and not just sort of, throw everybody out, you know what I mean? Just based on silliness, because, again, these are the best skilled players in the world, for the LPGA, these are, these are their best players in the world.
Yeah, so, this is the big thing with Augusta for the longest time too. And it still is with Augusta, is the severity of the slopes around the greens and on the greens, where if the green speeds get up, if they get a weekend of golf or a week of golf at Augusta where the temperatures are high and the conditions are dry, then they're going to be putting water to the greens to soften them up a little bit. But the golf course will play around those greens. It'll be
tougher.
I mean, I remember watching Masters championships where you watch guys putt off the front of the green. Sure. I don't see that as much now as I used to. Where guys will just putt right off the green or putt up to the hole and have it run back to them. I don't see that as much now, but I've also haven't seen a Masters where it's been so baked out, or I haven't even really seen a U.S. Open where it's been so baked out. Like I remember watching.
The Open,
was it not Chad Campbell? It was Tiger Woods and Michael Campbell.
Oh, when
battling it out at Pinehurst,
and Martin Keimer won. When
Martin Keimer won, that was like insane.
Yeah.
Where they're putting up these slopes and watching balls roll off of them because of the sort of bowl nature of the greens,
but they still try to adjust the golf course as much as they can to obviously not to lose the golf course and kind of be silly more than anything. So I mean, look, humans set up the golf course. Humans are going to make some mistakes. I mean, we saw it this year at the NAIA, the Women's Championship in the States. They had to issue an apology because they had a whole location where people were making nines. They were putting up to the hole. The ball would roll back. Balls would seemingly stop within 6 inches of the hole, and they'd roll back 15, 20 feet away. I mean, gravity is gravity, but that's a case of, somebody misset the pin of where it was supposed to be and where it couldn't be. And, when we're dealing with modern green shapes, and I shouldn't say just modern green shapes, I said modern green speeds, this becomes the issue. We have a lot of greens that, if you go back at Oakmont, when Johnny Miller was winning in Oakmont, those greens were rolling 8, not 15, 8. But as the agronomy has improved and, the expectations to bring the green speeds up, it's a little bit of a two-sided or two-headed thing. It's like, yes, you want the golf course in great shape so the ball rolls well and so forth, but there's a point where it's like, okay, this becomes more than difficult and becomes not great for a lot of different reasons. And again, you want people to be talking about Minjee Lee winning and
not about the course.
And not spending 25 minutes like we are talking about, the course setup, which is just unfortunate.
I agree with you. I just, for me, when it comes to the difference between majors and regular events, if someone's going out into a major, if the field is going out into a major championship and shooting 15, 20, 25 under par, then something's wrong with the way the course is set up,
I agree.
Or the golf course isn't hard enough to begin with. But when... And if they're going out and shooting and the winner's the only one under par, well, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But what are the circumstances surrounding that?
Yeah.
And, if one person did it, why can't more people do it? But, that's asking the same question of the U.S. Open. If one person can be under par, why can't more people be under par? That wasn't the case.
No.
And, so, all right. Well, let's leave it at that for now. Obviously, unfortunately, congratulations, Minjee Lee. Outstanding playing for the week to get that major championship under her belt. But it's sad that it's clouded by all this other hoopla. Be better, PGA of America.
Yes.
Be better.
Exactly.
All right. Speaking of heat, that's we've kind of backed ourselves into a smaller corner here, but we can still talk about this. It is stupid warm out these days, and we don't want you not to play golf.
No.
So what do? You go out, it's 33 degrees out, and
humidity levels are over 40 Celsius.
Yeah, in the 40s. You're sweating buckets.
Yeah.
It's a 2-shirt, 3-shirt round.
And here's the caution. It's like, if you're an experienced golfer, you sort of know this a little bit, right? But again, experienced golfers get caught by it as well. It's why we hear about cases of heat stroke and so forth on the golf course. But we have a lot of new golfers coming to the game. We have a lot of people that have taken up the game in the last few years. So they want to play a lot, but they also don't realize that being outside in for 4+ hours it is going to be harder on your body. And as it is, I mean, I see it with, golfers that, you coach and whatever like that. It's hard enough to get people to eat and drink on the golf course and realize that they're out for a while. And you know how it is, having a kid that plays golf, it's like, get them to snack on the golf course. Like, no, I'm fine, or whatever. So as a result of it, people get themselves in trouble because it's too late. And, you got to start with a couple of things. And, as simple as it is, hydration, like, people have to realize that starts before you need it. That's the issue.
100%. Right? Once you feel, once you have that little bit of a headache, or you get the dry mouth or something like that going on, it's too late.
Yeah,
you can start to hydrate at that point, but chances are parts of what you're going to experience from the standpoint of dehydration have already kicked in, and you're going to be struggling. It's funny how you think about actually drinking water and hydrating yourself, 15, 20, 30 minutes before you even start playing, and then staying hydrated while you're out on the golf course by little sips of water, not guzzles.
Yeah.
You don't guzzle it. Because if you're guzzling it, then you're already thirsty again. You should just be sipping that water and keeping the fluids in you and staying hydrated throughout your round.
Yeah, and you definitely want to do that, and you can start that even the day before. If you know it's going to be super hot and you're playing tomorrow, I mean, start making sure that your body is hydrated now before you get there. Lots of options now as far as good containers that you can obviously hydrate with and so forth. Unfortunately, due to some things years ago, we don't have as much water on golf courses now. It is a revenue center and stuff as well. That's perfectly fine, but it's your responsibility to take care of yourself as well. Although we will see golf courses in excessive heat temperatures, we see a lot of golf courses maybe offering up water and things like that, which is great because obviously if you want to keep your customer out there and healthy, that's perfectly fine. But you got to do that. As well, players are out there and you're going, hey, I'll have a coffee or 7 more beers or whatever. Not a good idea. I'm not saying it from a standpoint, but from maybe the coffee standpoint. I mean, all these things that can lead to kind of fluid loss.
It has water in it.
Sure it does. So so that's the biggest thing is the hydration. Lots of different things that way, and don't be shy about that. It's always good to, it's fine to have extra water, but having underwater is not great. So
tell you what, what you need to do is, and these things are these are a dime a dozen now, is get yourself one of those stainless steel water bottles. Yeah, not those plastic things.
No.
That's okay when it's fall.
Yeah.
If you have one of these stainless steel ones, get a rather big one. And when you leave the house, drop it full of ice cubes.
Yeah.
Then add your water in on top of that. And that sucker will stay cold your entire round of golf.
Yeah. And you want those cool drinks because they help regulate your core body temperature. So it makes a big difference. And I even know from when people look at coaching and stuff like that, if you're taking lessons and stuff right now, I mean, your coach is either if they have a tent or, you can cut down your lesson time. Maybe you're not taking an hour lesson. Maybe it's a half hour. Maybe you're taking some breaks between shots. Don't stand out in the driving range and just beat balls. Take a few minutes to stop, take a break and so forth. Sort of assess kind of where you're at. The other side is we get to things we talk about, clothing and so forth. When you're out there as far as wearing stuff, we've gone from May that's been gross, cold and so forth. You definitely have to get to some performance type clothing, lighter colors, that sort of thing, something with a little bit looser fit. Things that maybe have some SPF, UPF rated protection. Hats. I mean, I know for me,
the bucket hat
are an issue. So
you got to do the bucket hat.
I switched to a Titleist Aussie big brim hat just to protect my ears, and too many cases, unfortunately, of golfers that we know having issues with skin cancer. And it's not just the pros that are out there all the time. It's the average golfer that's out there all the time. We've definitely had a lot of friends that have had to deal with this, and you just don't realize what damage the sun is doing to your body. So you definitely got to do that.
Even if you pop the hat off when you hit your shot, it's fine.
Sure, yeah.
When you think about a round of golf, you spend more time walking from shot to shot than you do actually hitting the shot. So if you're not one of those people that say, oh, I can't wear one of those big, huge hats when I'm swinging. So don't wear it and take it off. Hit your shot, put it back on, move on to your next, because it's going to benefit you, isn't it? You're not going to get, sunburn or skin issues in the 10 seconds it takes you to hit your shot. No. You're going to get it by not protecting yourself long term over 5 hours or 4.5 hours.
Or like you say, it's all those walks between the golf balls.
Put it on, take it off. It's the same thing when you're hitting shots in the rain. You carry the umbrella from shot to shot. You put the umbrella down, hit your shot, pick the umbrella back up again. Yeah, don't tend to get as wet just hitting the shot as you do walking to the shot. So we'll get those bucket hats or those wide brimmers.
Yeah, and actually, you know, when you're out there playing as well, you know, don't be shy of finding shade between shots, right?
Yeah.
Like you know, if other players are playing shots and you're kind of in the rough side and there's some tree line shade or whatever, just a few minutes every now and then will help your body sort of cool down. So you're not standing in the middle of the fairway.
Or if you got one of those push carts,
yes,
get an umbrella stand, put your umbrella up. Like
totally.
Who said the umbrella was just for rain? It's shade. It's permanent shade.
Yeah.
You know, put your umbrella up and use it. I mean, protect yourself from the elements as best you can, whatever they are.
Yeah, and you know, we look at this time of year as well. I mean, middays. I know, you know, golf courses obviously want to fill all their tee times, but you know, if you have the option to kind of get an early morning or an evening tee time, you know, where it's a little bit cooler, it's going to be a little bit safer as well. And you know, so that's a good option as well. As you mentioned with the carts, that's still a choice as well. I mean, sometimes when it's hotter, you know, maybe you don't like taking a power cart, but maybe you take it for 9 holes just to kind of help you out as far as that. And, you know, still, because as you said, we still want people to be playing. We just want them to be doing it safely as possible.
Okay. We're going to have to push through these last ones here. So just some other things, wet towels, you know, good idea to have too. Even if you bring one, keep it wet, keep an extra water bottle just for the towel. That's fine. Misting fans are great if you got one of those battery powered ones. Ice in your hat, a little more extreme, but it works.
Sure.
And, you know, big sun protection. Get some sunscreen. Put the sunscreen on big time.
Yeah.
Protect yourself that way, your skin. Eat throughout the round. Rehydrate after you're done. And most importantly, listen to your body. If your body is telling you something ain't right, if you're feeling sweaty, dizzy, weak, you know, got a headache, little nauseous, you're cramping, get off the golf course, cool off, and if worst case scenario, seek some medical attention. Don't take any chances. You'll enjoy the rest of your golf season for the summer.
Yeah. And if you're the playing partner as well, watch for those other signs in the other golfers. I had that a couple of weeks ago. Had a player that obviously was, you know, under some distress. So look out for your playing partners as well. You know, pay attention to what they're doing, and you know, don't be shy about suggesting that they you know, either get off the golf course or seek medical attention.
Okay, there's helpful tips, insight and information from these two yahoos on the air. We got great knowledge, lots of experience in this. Trust me.
Means we're
okay. Quick promo: flagstick.com shootout. Still some space available. Not much, I will tell you, but still some space. Sign up now. Like now. Flagstick.com or flagstickshootout.com. Do that. That's it for us. Thank you to our sponsors: Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and our presenting sponsor this week, of course, TaylorMade QI 35 drivers, TaylorMade speed, max forgiveness, all new fitting to give you more distance from more of the face. Get your QI 35 fit today and unlock another level of for your game at TaylorMadeGolf.ca. Thanks for listening and watching. Be sure to follow us across all our social media networks: Instagram, X, and Facebook, TikTok. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Do not forget our YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell. Never miss one of these great episodes. Get over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content published every single day, and subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter. It's free. It's beautiful. You'll love it. But as always, thanks for tuning in. Until next week, I'm Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.